outcasts, the creepy and depraved, the bizarre creations not meant for the normal world. Embrace the twisted weirdness of freak show cinema!
Yeah, I wanted to try something a little different. As I get older, and a lot of media gets safer, with some exceptions, I wanted to look over some of the freakier movies of cinema. Some are well known, others not as much, but they all went for broke in giving us the most strange, abnormal, yet creative handful of madness their imaginations can muster. And I wanted to praise their otherworldliness because if you can't imagine something different, you'll be stuck with the same all your life. With that said, what pops in your mind when you hear the name Raggedy Ann? A cute little dolly, an occasional special you saw here or there, a cursed gateway to evil preserved in glass inspiring several demonic film adaptations? My guess is the director of this thought the latter. Raggedy Ann and Andy, a musical adventure, was released in 1977 and was directed by the late great animator Richard Williams, the director of animation for Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Though it did get both a theatrical and VHS release, there's not many high-end copies of it. And it's a shame because this movie is a witch's brew of bizarro. The story sounds very simple. A girl's room of toys, led by Raggedy Ann, welcome a French doll named Babette to her new home. But a snow globe pirate falls for her, and rises and falls and rises and falls, oh god! And kidnaps her, forcing Anne and her brother Andy to save her while coming across all sorts of strange characters. Sounds pretty ordinary, but upon further viewing you'll find it's anything but. No matter what version of Raggedy Ann you've seen in the past, I assure you there is nothing freakier than this one. I mean, look at this. Is this the imagery you would associate with such a simple children's doll?
I don't feel so well.
That was a hell of a thing.
Well, to figure out what exactly we're looking at, it makes sense to figure why we're looking at it. 20th Century Fox assigned Abe Levitow, a Warner Brothers animator who directed Gay Puri. That's its own batch of what? To helm the project, with Richard Williams being the animation supervisor. Just to make things complicated though, he died before they started. Seeing this as a means to get funding for his passion project, The Thief and the Cobbler, Williams took over directing. There was just one problem. He hated the script. He said it was unfocused, didn't make a ton of sense, and there were too many songs. When the studio apparently said film what's written, critics slammed the movie for, you guessed it, being unfocused, not making a ton of sense, and having too many songs. But Williams in no way half-assed it. He put as much effort as he could into, at the very least, giving some damn good animation. One of the few elements critics praised the film for. As such, the film is a marvel to look at. The credits alone are ridiculously detailed. But okay, the vibe you would get from this script is that it's Toy Story before Toy Story was even a thing. And for the first half hour, it is. The opening half hour is just the toys in the nursery, singing songs and not really saying any amazing dialogue, but for a little kid's film, it's passable. When they go looking for the captain and Babette, the first character they come across is a camel with wrinkled knees. He's been alone for so long he hallucinates his family calling to him and constantly chases after them.
I don't see anything, Andy. Do you?
This is really weird.
Odd, but you could just interpret him as a lost toy. It's nothing that out of the ordinary. And then this.
What's that?
This is the movie you're in now! This is the Greedy, a giant monster who stuffs his face and wants to cut out Raggedy Ann's heart because it's made of candy.
It's her heart now, but soon it will be mine.
What the hell?
After they come across a loony knight named Loony Knight,
Why are you doing all this to us?
It's easy!
he takes them to the court of King Cuckoo, which goes something like this. Last time I saw them in something, they were giving a pumpkin to a kid. How do we make the leap to this? And none of these are like the toys seeing everyday things from a different point of view. No, all these freaky ass shits just exist.
Your Highness.
You mean lowness? Yeah, lowness, that's what it is.
King Cuckoo is very short, but he grows whenever he laughs. Laughro. They escape, but find Babette has somehow taken over the ship, put the captain in chains.
I am the captain now.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure.
I am the captain now.
And even trussed up our heroes, ending with the king tickling everyone, causing him to grow bigger, eventually exploding. And then they're just back home. Yeah, the girl finds him and just brings him in. The end. I don't know what script problems they're talking about. I followed all this fine once I did bath salts. Even before coming across the first supernatural element, though, the film has all sorts of hilariously uncomfortable moments.
The way you go banging around with Marcella.
Whoa, what?
Part of Richard Williams' brilliance is his attention to detail, so all the characters move with the proper weight they would possess. So Raggedy Ann, being a floppy ragdoll, moves maybe a little too much like a floppy ragdoll.
It's true, I do get bounced around a bit.
Come on, give those dead eyes a little bit of life. Ah! Go back to Wilkins' puppet!
How shocking.
Over the years, it's gone back and forth whether or not Raggedy Ann and Andy were sweethearts or brother and sister. This film clarifies several times that they're siblings.
You lay off my sister, Sir Leonard.
But that doesn't stop some awkward gestures and stares every once in a while.
I love you so.
You're my present this year.
Just don't question it, question it, question it a lot. And then, of course, there's these damn things.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
I must not fear. Fear is the might killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I have no idea what these things are supposed to be. Dolls, I guess, but what little girl wants to see these naked chipmunk-voiced demons under her Christmas tree? Everything they say is sung, danced in unison, and ends with their eyes pouring acid on your crumb of nightmare-fueled innocence. They are terrifying!
What's in the box? What's in the box? What did you do and why? How you gonna get in that thing? Really scary, really scary. Whoa!
Need a break? I gotcha. Better? You'll never be better. Liam's obsession with making the film look good resulted in going over budget, over schedule, and sadly a common occurrence for him, being fired from the project. Because of this, parts from the movie seem straight up unfinished. Like I mentioned before, the ending is incredibly abrupt and doesn't make a lick of sense. And on top of that, song numbers that were most likely going to be shot in more detail were suddenly filmed from a great distance. Most of the sequence Candy Hearts and Paper Flowers is shot so that you can't see them lip sync the song. In fact, one shot holds for almost an entire minute. This isn't exactly the most beautiful visual to hold on, guys. Though I guess it is less ugly than... This resulted in the film bombing pretty hard at the box office, getting less than glowing praise from critics, and confusing tons of horrified kids, as these clearly not paid children will tell you.
The plot was really, really good. It was very exciting, a lot of action. The music got to me in a very certain way.
As such, it was quickly forgotten about, making occasional appearances on kids' TV like Nickelodeon and the Disney Channel. And yes, it is very easy to see why the majority of people wouldn't get into this, but I still stand by there's a lot to appreciate. Aside from the most obvious being the animation, which is breathtaking when it's literally not trying to take away your breath, there is an innocent, albeit awkward charm to the film. It's clearly written for little children, but the actors all give a dedicated kind of energy to their roles. Didi Khan as Anne, who you may remember as Frenchie from Grease, adds a very delicate and gentle spirit to her delivery.
Lots of different things. Some are real for sure, strange.
Mark Baker adds a tough but kind balance to Andy.
Are you scared? Well, you shouldn't be. I'm not.
And others like George S. Irving as the captain, Alan Suze as the knight, and Marty Brill as the king are so wonderfully over the top, it's hard not to laugh at the absurdity of their voices.
Oh, do some more to this one here. I mean, he makes me expand real good.
I know. I heard it too.
Even the director's daughter as the kid who owns the toys adds a strange kind of realism to a film with very little realism in it. Every scene has a ton of atmosphere and a very distinct mood. True, they don't all go together, but individually they do strike a very unique kind of ambiance. One of the major criticisms of the film is that it has too many songs, and at a whopping 16 for an hour-and-a-half flick, that's the same number as Sound of Music, a 3-hour flick? It's a legit criticism. But here's the thing, the songs are actually really good. They were written by Joe Raposo, the guy who did It's Not Easy Being Green, the Great Muppet Caper songs, and a ton of work for Sesame Street. What's so interesting is because of his background in children's entertainment, the songs needed to not only be catchy, but also short for their limited attention spans. Because of this, even though there are way too many of them and they rarely further the plot, I can play just a snippet of them and chances are you'll remember how they go.
How can you be happy?
The reason that I is 'cause I love you.
A miracle, everything I've waited for.
Push me, shove me, turn me around, but I'm no girl's toy.
For decades, unless you were Disney, a lot of songs in kids' films were pretty forgettable. Which is why it's crazy that for a kids' film with 16 songs in them, I remember how almost every single one of them goes. Yes, they do halt what little story there is from moving forward, but they're catchy, clever, and extremely hummable. I know it's not like the guy doesn't have enough popular works to his name, but it is a shame a musical with so many good songs is not only forgotten about, but also dismissed because there's simply too many of them. Too much of a good thing, I guess, but it is still a good thing. Because of those reasons, I can't like this as a great film or even a finished film, but it's so lavishly odd, it can never be forgotten. I love how insane it is. I love how it goes from one random thing to another because you have no idea what to expect, except that it'll be something well animated, creative, and have you humming afterwards. When it's good on a technical and sometimes whimsical level. When it's bad, it's the most fascinating kind of bad. Despite all its production problems, it went all out, and it clearly shows in the end product, even if the end product is a mess. I hope more people check it out for all the hard work that went into it, and, whether as a pro or a con, for its unforgettable night terrors it sure do induce. Maybe if it gets talked about and shared around enough, a proper DVD or even Blu-ray release could be in the future. But with it only existing on pan and scan VHS and rare widescreen versions online, it sadly doesn't look likely. Rumor has it there's not even an original negative left to transfer from. But who knows, maybe over time more of it will show up somewhere. If you can find a version of it though, check it out and spread the word. If for any other reason, to spread the madness everyone deserves to ponder and question. I have a few of these planned, but if there's any freaky ass movies you want to see represented more, leave them in the comments below. I'm the nostalgia critic guy, remember, so you don't have to.
The way you go banging around with Marcella.
Whoa, what?